I'm Rachel and welcome back to my channel Bales 1986 SW, and today I want to talk about something which has been on my mind a little bit, and that is mindset, comfort eating and triggers. Why is it so hard to lose weight and it's so easy to gain weight? I mean, don't you just wish that celery just tastes of chocolate? I mean, it would be so much easier, wouldn't it? And it's got me thinking regarding this, because I think a lot of us on YouTube and people around me have found this season changes quite hard. It's been quite hard to stick to plan. I've noticed personally that there's a few little things coming back, my little food habits are coming back. So I thought I just want to talk about it. I have made a few notes, so if I do look down then I do apologise. But I'm going to start at the beginning. I'm always getting asked in group, what's my top tip, biggest tip to staying on plan, and do you find the plan easy? And my answer to that has always been my mindset. I was ready to lose weight. I wanted to lose weight. I am losing weight. I am doing this and I'm doing it for me. I had done Slimming World 6 times prior to that, and I'd always done it for a reason or an occasion, for a wedding, a certain dress to get into, but I'd never done it for me. I wanted to look better, feel better. I wanted to make some changes, and it weren't all about, for me, body image. It was how I felt in myself. I wanted to like my body again. I wanted to accept my cesarean scars and my operations where I'd had cysts removed because I suffer with polycystic ovaries. I wanted to look in a mirror and be proud of what my body's done. I have 2 beautiful children, which I am very fortunate to be able to have children, because there is some lovely mummies out there who can't have children, and I can and I have, and my body has been able to do that. So I wanted to be proud of that, and I wasn't. I hated my body. I despised myself. I can't tell you how much I hated myself. I really just didn't like myself, and there was no other way to do it than to lose weight. That was my way of losing weight. I tried to be accepting of myself, like I'm happy, I'm cool, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't like myself being a bigger version of myself. So I knew that I wanted to start losing weight. I had a mental day in mind when I was starting my weight loss journey. And because I'd done it 6 times before, I knew roughly what to do. So 2 weeks before I started doing the Slimming World plan, I did the shop to slim, what they always say in group. So I started reducing my oil to fry light, my full fat fizzy Cokes to Coke Zeros. I reduced my sugar in my coffee to sweet like the sweet tablets. I reduced my milk, which I had blue milk, the full fat milk, to green milk, and now I'm on the red milk. I call it red milk, the skimmed milk. I made these very simple changes. I got passata in, I got tomato puree, some of the Slimming World staples, because then when I started a group, it wasn't overwhelming for me. I didn't walk in thinking, oh my god, I need to get all this food in, kind of thing. And I just slowly got things as I was buying my normal food shop. So I was all ready for the 7th of September when I walked through those Slimming World doors. I was mentally and at home, I was ready to do this. I was ready to get on with my weight loss journey. And also as well, I realised that on those 2 weeks prior to me starting, I realised that I had a lot of bad habits, So that was, my first bad habit was I never had breakfast. And I don't mean that it's okay not to wake up in the morning and go, oh, I fancy breakfast, that's cool. But I wouldn't eat at all. I would have a coffee with loads of sugar in, and then I'd go, oh, I'm hungry, about 11 o'clock, and I'd have like a really sugary snack. So that could have been like those really Brevita bars, you know, the breakfast bars kind of thing, which would sustain me for an hour, and then I would then want loads more food later on. So what I realised I was going to do is break those habits. So I wanted to log the times when I wanted the hand to mouth action, as I call it. So I knew my times were 9, 3 and 7. So I had to have food available at those times. So at 9 o'clock in the morning, after I dropped the children off to school, then I would come back and I would prepare a meal. So with my coffee in the morning, I would have a pear or a piece of fruit to keep me going, because sometimes I like to have a full cooked breakfast. So that could be a fried egg with a sausage patty for half a cent and using my healthy extra B choice, or it could be porridge. And sometimes I just like that on my own without having the children around, so I can just concentrate on cooking, things like that. And in the morning I can get the kids ready, get them off to school, and then I can get my breakfast ready. That was how it worked for me. Then about 3 o'clock, when I was just about to pick up the children and the children have their afternoon snack as they're walking back from school, that's when I would have like a pack of Haribos or a chocolate bar or something in my pocket. So I replaced that with something else. I replaced that with a pear. And then at 7 o'clock, when the children are in bed, that's when I wanted that hand to mouth action, when I was watching either TV or on my phone or something like that. That's when I craved something. So by knowing that these times and these situations, my 9, 3 and 7, I then could put in place low sin treats. So when I say low sin, they're mostly sin free for me. So it was my bulking up on my speed food, and having meals in place. For instance, when I was cooking the kids' teas, that's when boredom was setting. I was bored of waiting for their food. So I'd pick a few little crisps out of a bag, or I would, when the kids' meals are finished, I would pick the kids' chips, like, oh, I can't leave them, and I would pick at it. So I knew what I noted, and I had to note that down, that's what I did. So me writing it down and me acknowledging that's what I was doing stood me in a really good stead now, being a Target member, of when those things come back in. Like last week, I had a lot of sprinkles of this, a bite of that and a pinch of this. Me noting it really early on in my weight loss journey has like done me the world of good for my journey now. So just note down your bad habits, like your food habits, and try and acknowledge them for what they are, and try and change them in whatever way you feel fit to do so. And also as well, and it sounds really, really silly, is I had to change where I sit on the sofa. I know this sounds silly, but there was a certain place where I would sit. You know what it's like when you sit on the settee, you have your own little spots. But when I sat in a certain place, and it's a certain place on my sofa where there's an arm and there's a table and it's really cozy, so I could really curl up and have like a cup of coffee and a chocolate, I would then go back into these really bad food habits. So me changing where I sit, where there is no place to put my tea, or I don't have tea, my coffee, I would have to move to the table to pick my drink up. It would get me off the sofa to get my drink, kind of thing, and while I'm up I might think, oh, I need to do that, and then it would distract my mind, kind of thing. I know that sounds silly, but it was just something I did. So there's a certain place now I sit on the sofa which is completely different to where I used to sit, because that then helped me rechange my food habits. Comfort eating. This is a big one for everyone. Comfort eating for me was if I'd had a bad hospital appointment with Grace, if I had an unexpected bill coming in, so like the boiler was on the blink, I needed to pay extra for that, I would then comfort eat, or it was Star Week, or all that, family life, you can just say, oh. But what I realised is I didn't want the food, what I was eating. It was never to do with the food, but it was to do with food ease. For me, I never wanted to comfort eat for the food or the feeling the food gave me. It was for me the ease of food. It was easier to get my hand in a pack of biscuits. It was easier for me to ring up a takeaway. It was easier for me to have a full bag of Cadbury's full-size buttons. It was easier for me to go into the crisp cupboard than acknowledge what was actually happening. And sometimes it is just the ease of food which we comfort eat. I honestly think it is that was what it was for me. It was never to do with the food, it was always to do with the ease of it, which made me feel better, because at that moment in time when you've got that unexpected bill, or you've had a bad hospital appointment, or you've had bad news, the last thing you want to do is think about food or even think about cooking. You just don't want to do it. So for me realising it was never to do with the food and it was to do with me wanting the ease of food, I had to really change that. And for me it's easy. I tell you guys on Instagram or on YouTube that I'm having a bad time, I can document it. I have a journal which I would just document how I'm feeling. It's watching YouTube, it's having, now my Sundays is my pamper night. I go and have a bath. It's not for everyone, but for me that works. I now change my way of living, of how I get away from food when I know that I really want that food, and it's never for me about the food, it's about the ease of it. So yeah, I've changed that. Also as well is how I've thought about my journey is I have seen it as this is how I see it, and I mentioned this in group and I thought I would just say it to you guys, is I wouldn't spend lots of money decorating my living room, having this perfect living room, the living room which I've dreamed of for ages, spending all the money on the little details and getting my living room the way I wanted to have it, and spending all that time, that effort, the commitment to get that living room the way I want that living room to be. Then to get a black Sharpie pen and scribble all over those walls. You wouldn't do it. But what I do acknowledge is there is going to be a spilt drink on the carpet. There's going to be the little incident with the kids walking and scribbling on the wallpaper. And there is going to be the cushion which is a bit screw-whiffed. But they're easily able to, you can re-rectify that. You can still re-rectify those little like the spilt drink. You can pick the drink up and you can wipe it down. And that's how I see my weight loss journey, is I am committed to working for my perfect, not for anyone else the way I see myself, but for my perfect happy place. And there is going to be those little lifestyle things like the spilt drink, but they're easy enough. You can wipe them up, and you can now buy carpet cleaner and things like that. And for me, that's how I see my life, my weight loss journey, is I'll never get a black marker pen and like scribble it out. I'm never going to get back to where I was, but I am going to have little bits of trips ups here and now, and I accept that. That's life. That's life. That's life, isn't it? We're all going to have them little hiccups of the road, but acknowledge it and get back on it, because me having a bit of a binge here and now, or having an off day, is never going to get me back to nearly 5 stone heavier Rachel, because I am committed, I am focused, and I am really happy the way I am now. And that's how I see my weight loss journey now. Might sound funny to everyone else, but for me that's what keeps me on track. That for me, I've put the time, I've put the effort in, I've put the money into Slimming World, and now I've got the way I'd like to be. So I'm not now going to get a marker pen and go and scribble it all over, but I acknowledge that there is going to be some little slip-ups off the way, and they are just slip-ups. That is just life. Sometimes life gets in the way of it, but acknowledging those slip-ups and acknowledging that you can fall off the bandwagon sometimes, but get back on, because you are worth it. Honestly, you are worth it. And I can't sit here today and say it's not going to be hard and it's a breeze in the park, because it isn't. It is bloody hard, and I wish it was easy to lose weight as much as it is easy to gain the weight. I totally wish it was, but it isn't. And it's a long hard struggle, but if we keep at it, then we will get to where we want to be, to our happy place. And also as well is my lovely grandma used to say a saying. It's become quite famous because Del Boy says it on Only Fools and Horses, is it's just a drop, stitch and life's tapestry. So it's life. You're going to have those moments, but it's just life. And I always try and think of a positive spin on it. That's what keeps me going. And I just think sometimes we just need to be a little bit less hard on ourselves, and to acknowledge that we may be, you know, we may want, you know, X, Y and Z to eat, and cool, that's just life at the end of the day. And you know, it's just life. As long as I keep going and making the very small positive steps I am making, then I'm doing the best. And at the end of the day, guys, that's all we can do. We can always do our best. And sometimes us doing our best to us never makes us feel any better. But making small, simple steps, it could be weekly, it could be daily, will keep us on track. So if you are first starting up on your Slimming World journey, then just remember, you can do this. Honestly, you can do this. And if you just change one simple thing in your first week, so that could be you had fizzy full fat drinks, then just changing them to Coke Zero, you're making a brilliant change in your first week. Then increase it. Don't think that going to group you have to do all these funky changes and things like that, because sometimes it can become overwhelming. Prior to me starting this time, I hated the shop to slim, because I just thought, oh my god, this is so much, like, I want to lose weight, I've got to get all this food in, I don't really like cooking. I felt really overwhelmed. But this time round, I knew what I needed to do, so I made simple changes. So full fat to sugar free, to full sized bars of chocolate to treat sized chocolates really made the difference. So I hope I've not rambled on. So as always, food optimise, send you positive thoughts. Rachel. Bye.